Walker, Camille. Hey, congratulations on your series. I need your love.
Thank
Thank you, Gig.
you.
Hey, more congratulations. It's being showcased at Tribeca this year. I mean, how do you folks feel about that?
We feel like $1 million, Gig. We feel really good about it.
Yeah,
And
ecstatic.
but we have a shitload of stuff that we still are working on, not only for Tribeca, but like it's not celebration mode for us. It's like we're nose to the grindstone right now. There's like I'm not gonna be sleeping for the next month, so we're just happy but working.
That's pretty awesome. So tell us where the original idea came from for this series.
Well, Walker and I have been friends for over a decade, in New York City. And I've just been, I'm an independent artist, singer, songwriter, doing the thing in New York City and performing and releasing music and trying to get big gigs and all the things. And Walker and I have just been close friends. So he's just sort of had a front row seat to the chaos that is my life. Um, and so he sort of came to me with this idea last year, early last year, to sort of propose this idea of creating a series and have it be about me and my life and to tell this honest story.
Yeah, so it's definitely been more than a decade in the making, and the we had just an incredible amount of material, Gig, to that is just delivered to us by life. It was just a matter of taking the ingredients and finding a way to implement them in a fun way, in a way that hopefully is touching to people, or it gives them some kind of good reaction.
So how much of the story is like actual incidences and how much of the story is actually just completely made up?
A lot of it is actual incidences. The SNL thing was an actual incident. Yeah, the two episodes that are premiering at Tribeca are based on extremely true things that happened to me. Um, and and that is kind of that's echoing the entire essence and vibe of the series itself, is that it is extremely, we say like semi-autobiographical, but it's definitely more than that. It's pretty true.
Yeah, we could put we're generally placing it between 70 and 80%. So it's like uh it's this is more Camille's life than Seinfeld was Jerry's, I'll put it that way.
So Walker, when you're what is your approach trying to take these real life events from Camille's life onto screen?
Well, the that's a good question. So the approach is such. We have all of these ideas. I have some things that have really stood out to me as like this is compelling, not only like because something is it's not good enough if it's just funny. It needs to have more. It needs to tell us, it needs to reveal something about either Camille or about what it's like to be doing to be struggling as an artist, or any other sort of like we have to try or at least take a stab at revealing some part of the like the human experience, as kind of maybe obnoxious as that sounds. It's like there's got to be something beneath it all. So when we have this sort of like scaffolding of like a story there, Camille and I talk quite a bit about it and sort of figure out the moving pieces of it, and then I turn around and put it into the script. um but it's interesting, like if we're to very briefly get into like a little bit of the nitty-gritty of the like writing and structuring, what is both simpler and harder about the way we did this series is that there's only an A story. So it's not, usually I'll just tell you this, Camille. It's like usually this a sitcom or something has like a different storylines, A, B, C, and they're interwoven. But these episodes are essentially only an A line. So on the one hand, it's simpler, But on the other hand, it's really kind of a challenge to like hold someone's attention if you only have that one A line all the way through. And so we have to find ways of like making the story not only funny and compelling, but to like bring in elements of like the casting was really important in order to sort of like have these people in our lives, many of whom were our friends, who can help like elevate, because it's not the script, it's not good enough just as a script. It needs to really have like the living, breathing life in it. And that came from not only Camille, but like our amazing supporting cast of mostly first time actors. And then of course like the crew, which we, have just loved the hell out of our crew.
So Camille, what was it like basically being in part of this series and reliving this experiences in a way on for this?
Hmm.
Honestly, gig, it was difficult. It was more harder than I ever thought it was going to be. I think because you're just having to relive and face a lot of fears and, vulnerabilities and self-doubts and low moments that you don't necessarily want to face and not even want to face on camera in front of your friends and in front of people, and then knowing that it will be displayed further. So I think it was a pretty wild experience because I'm not used to, I don't know many people that are used to sharing something of that level on screen to then like, be at Tribeca Film Festival. So you can't hide behind yourself. And a lot of people say playing yourself is the hardest character of them all. So I think that was true, Um, so yeah, it was tough for sure.
Now, what about finding humor into any of these things? Because some this is real life. That some of these stuff actually did happen in real life. These are serious subjects, but I mean, I was watching and I was actually laughing. I found it a lot of funny, but then I realized like this actually happened to Camille.
Yeah. I mean, at my core, I'm a funny girl. Like I like to think that I am. So I think that there is depth to the comedy of it. You know what I mean? It's not just a light comedy. There's vulnerability in it, and it's a bit of a darker comedy. In that sense, but I think that it is important to add lightness and levity to these scenarios because then you would just feel like shit about yourself at the end of the day. And like that's not true either. That's not true to who I am as well. Because I pose myself as a pretty happy-go-lucky, funny person. Um, so that is the side that I feel more comfortable with, and more comfortable being on camera about and more comfortable. That's the persona that I am on stage and to my friends and stuff. And it's the other side of it when you're vulnerable, but that's when you're alone and you're dealing with your demons and you're, alone with your thoughts. So but I think that's important to show both sides because that is the human form. And so, yeah, I hope that answered that question.
No, it does. Walker, how did you want to play into Camille's strengths of her singing abilities for the series, even though you want to basically portray the comedy aspects?
Yeah, that's another good question. Well, I mean, specifically to her singing ability, there were tons of like little moments that, because everything is about the details. And there's so many, just like we care so much about the details, and were lots of little moments where I would just say like, can you give that sort of like, or if it's just a scene and she's at home, I'm like, can you just give it a little like as if you were singing to yourself at home, and don't belt it out, just do it kind of like you would be, getting in the groove a little. There were lots of moments like that even though they weren't perhaps not scripted or not really like the standout moments, they give it so much like they give it such a real flavor that is, I think, really important, and kind of like an underrated aspect of like when you're trying to like portray a character. Like you have to have the small moments, and I think that that's where like a lot of, you know, her singing and her natural like sort of like melodies came into play. But like if we're gonna talk about strengths, Camille mentioned, you know, like she's a funny girl. I definitely, it was really important to let her rip. And especially when she was paired with like Inez or Willie, you know, where they could really just bounce off of each other with their energy and feel like she can kind of like be as sort of like heightened, you know, because when we talk about heightened, like Camille's already a little bit heightened as a human, so like we don't really need to go that much more before we hit the ceiling. So it was nice to just like be able to let her feel like she can be either funny and silly and goofy with her scene partners, or to kind of just like bring out her little swagger or her fierceness when the scene called for that, because she definitely has like all of those traits in spades. Is that the phrase? Yeah.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So how many episodes were you planning for this, and how many episodes did you film so far?
Um, we have shot 5 episodes. The last three are we're just cranking through post-production right now. They'll be done very soon. So we'll have a total of 5, and it was conceived of as a both. I don't want to say standalone season, because like our intention all along is for this to have a life and some very strong legs. But like we have this 5 episode season which has a kind of a nice emotional arc to it. The episodes can kind of each individually stand alone, but they definitely like you can feel it over the course of one through 5. So that's what we have now, and our plan and our intention is to do more by any means necessary. So we're excited to keep growing and making it grander and better, even though we're proud of what we have so far.
That is awesome. Well, let me leave with one last thought. Camille,
Yes.
how do you feel that this is a never-ending story for you? I mean, there's still more stories yet to be written for this series.
Right. I'm excited. I'm ready. I think everybody's just getting a little taste, but you know, we got years and lots of tales and lots of things in the pipeline. So we have many plans for, you know, additional seasons and things like that, because the content really never stops.
Well said, well said. Walker, Camille, thank you very much for carrying this conversation for I Need Your Love. I know it's a lot of work, but in a month from now, at least have fun at Tribeca, right?
We
Thank you
will.
so
Thank
much.
you. I appreciate it.